Coming to paperback and e-readers this Black Friday, E-Steam Ascension, The Devilish Demon is a turning point in our life in this powerful E-Steam series story with E-Steam Ascension and online bookstores this Black Friday. Actress Halle Berry has been making allegations that her baby daddy, Gabriel Aubrey, has been making efforts to erase her daughter Nala's blackness. However, this whole argument falls apart when you look at Halle Berry's history and her heritage. Now, your Halle Berry is a biracial woman who was born of a white woman and a black man. And she's sitting there talking about how Gabriel Aubrey has been making efforts to erase her daughter's blackness, but that argument falls apart because Halle Berry herself is half black. And she's sitting there talking about this white man she got involved with making efforts to erase her daughter's blackness when she herself made efforts to erase her daughter's blackness with the inception from day one. Now, Halle Berry was married to two black men. She was married to David Justice and Eric Benet. And if she wanted to have a black child, you would think she would have had a child with a black man. But instead, she decided to have a child with a white man, and now she is mad at that white man making this allegation that he made efforts to erase her daughter's blackness. However, if you look at the big picture, you see that Halle Berry was the one who made the effort to erase her daughter's blackness from day one by getting involved with this white man and having this white man's child. And the whole argument talking about him trying to erase her blackness is completely illogical. And the reason why it is completely illogical is because this child is 25% black now, because Halle Berry was half black, and her getting involved with this white man made the child 25% black. Moreover, the child's culture is not all black, because with this child coming from Gabriel Aubrey, a white French Canadian, she has a right to know her heritage and her history as a white French Canadian. And with them having joint custody, Gabriel Aubrey is only taking efforts to raise his daughter and teach her culture as a white French Canadian. Now, Halle Berry alleges that Gabriel Aubrey is erasing her daughter's blackness by doing things like straightening her hair and putting in blonde highlights. And that's, again, a completely illogical argument when you really look at the big picture as related to the Berry family. Now, in pictures, Nala looks more like Judith Berry than Halle Berry, and her skin looks more like Judith Berry's than Halle Berry's, and her hair looks more like Judith Berry's than Halle Berry's. And Judith Berry was a blonde white woman. So I look at those pictures, and they show me that this girl looks more like Judith Berry than Halle Berry. So the argument about erasing her daughter's blackness, again, goes back to Halle Berry. Halle Berry was the one who decided to have the baby with the white man, so she was the one who started the efforts to erase her own blackness, not Gabriel Aubrey. And the child having blonde hair in the beginning was due to genetics. So her sitting there and getting mad about Gabriel Aubrey straightening the child's hair and offering blonde highlights, again, totally illogical when you look at the big picture as related to this family's genetics. Now, again, when it comes down to this blonde highlights and straightening hair, again, that's something that is done with culture, and it's something that would probably be done due to the joint custody agreement Berry and Aubrey have, because Gabriel Aubrey's visitation rights allow him to take his child to places like those French Canadian countries and meet the members of the family that are in these French Canadian countries. And the child would probably see people in these Canadian parts of the country, and she would probably want to get her hair done in a way that she feels makes her feel more comfortable in those social situations. So the request to straighten her hair may have come from Nala, not from Gabriel Aubrey. Gabriel Aubrey, as a dad, was probably taking his daughter to a hair salon and wanted her to just get the hairstyle that she felt comfortable with. And maybe she felt comfortable with having those blonde highlights and wanted those blonde highlights for herself, because when it comes down to social interactions, girls want to fit in, they want to be accepted, and they want things that allow them to assimilate into the group, because that's how girls usually are. And maybe Nala wanted those things for herself because Nala is only about 8 or 9 years old now, excuse me, and she wants to fit into the group. So she may have decided she wanted to stop wearing the curly hair, and she may have wanted to straighten her own hair, and she may have wanted to put those blonde highlights herself. So to say that Gabrielle Aubrey was the one trying to erase her blackness, again, it just doesn't make any sense. She may be coming to these conclusions herself, looking at the media out here, looking at the culture out here, and looking at herself and saying that she wants to be assimilating into the culture. Now, all this process started with Halle Berry, because Halle Berry was the first teacher of culture to her daughter. And as that first teacher of culture, she was the one who taught her how to erase her own blackness, because Halle Berry herself has erased her own blackness. Because anyone can look at photos of the younger Halle Berry and notice that she had a large black nose, and she was the one who cut off her own large black nose and changed it so that it could appear more white. So that argument about Gabrielle Aubrey erasing her blackness, no, that's not the one. Halle Berry erased her own blackness and then passed that culture on to her daughter. But she wants to blame this white man for erasing her daughter's blackness when she was the one who erased her daughter's blackness by, one, learning self-hatred by cutting off her own nose, and then two, getting involved with this white man, having a baby with this white man, and now she's getting upset that her daughter is following in her footsteps, making more efforts to assimilate into white culture, and this is what is really upsetting her, that seeing that her own daughter is only perpetuating the self-hatred that she taught. Because if Halle Berry loved her own blackness and was concerned about her own blackness, again, she would have had a baby with a black man. So her getting mad about this Gabrielle Aubrey deciding to just give his daughter what she wants and what she has asked for, this shows me that this female really does not understand her own self and does not really understand what's wrong with her, because the problems all stem from Halle Berry. The big problem as it relates to erasing blackness is that Halle Berry has erased her own blackness, and now she doesn't want to look in the mirror at that blackness. And now that she sees her daughter doing this, she is now feeling guilty about things as related to her erasing her own blackness. She wants to make her daughter into this black female. Unfortunately, that's not her culture, and that's not part of her culture, because she is now more French Canadian than anything else, and she's more white, and that's due to her. And that's, again, due to the deep self hatred that Halle Berry has. And this is all part of the culture as it relates to most black women. A lot of these black women out here have deep self hate issues, and they don't want to confront those deep self hate issues. They would rather project it either onto a black man, or in the case of Halle Berry, they want to project it onto a white man. But those self hatred issues manifest themselves in the things black women like Halle Berry do, like cutting off their nose and changing it to appear like a white woman, bleaching their skin, and putting blonde hair weave in their head, or frying their hair blonde. So her making that argument saying that Gabrielle Aubrey is the one who is making efforts to erase her blackness, no, that's not the case at all. Halle Berry made efforts to erase her own blackness, and she taught that culture to her daughter, and her daughter is just doing what she learned from her and what she learned from watching other black women in this culture. You can look at pictures of Lark Voorhees, Little Kim, Persia White, and you will see the same self-hatred of their blackness and their black self, because these women have made efforts to bleach their skin, dye their hair blonde, and cut off their own noses with plastic surgery to appear like a white woman. And when they made those efforts to participate in this self-hatred and self-destructive behavior, they showed the world how little they value being black, how little they value the beauty of being black, and how little they value the self-worth of being a black woman. And Halle Berry herself, by having this relationship with this white man, shows us how she values being with a white man and having children with a white man more so than her own blackness. Because again, if she wanted to have a black child, she would have had a black child with a black man, and then she would have had the child who would have reflected blackness 100% to everyone. As it stands right now, Nala is technically black, but she is just trying to make efforts to assimilate into a culture that she believes is more socially acceptable, and these are the choices she is making for herself. And Halle Berry doesn't like this because, again, Halle Berry doesn't like seeing the self-hatred she taught to her daughter being passed on, and this is what has her feeling guilty. Moreover, she's upset because the child is having a relationship with her father that she didn't have with her own father. So her own daddy issues are manifesting deeply in these allegations, and this whole situation is being made completely dysfunctional, not by your Gabriel Aubrey, but by your Halle Berry, who is really upset, I believe, in some ways, because she has to pay child support to this man, and she has to allow this man to have a relationship with the daughter she chose to have with him. When it came down to Halle Berry, she wanted to follow the same dysfunctional model that her and her single mother had, where they were being raised by a single mother, but she didn't understand that fathers have rights too, and children have a right to have a relationship with their father, and they have a right to learn about their culture from their father, and learn about life from their father. Again, if she wanted to have that black child, she would have had that black child with a black man, and that black man would have made efforts to teach his black daughter black history and black culture. But a white man does not have that obligation, so he can teach his child the culture that he came from. And if she didn't like that culture, then she should have chosen to have a relationship with a black man. If you'd like to see me make more videos like this, you can donate to my Patreon by clicking the link in the description box. And if you'd like to try some of my SJS Direct titles, you may do so by clicking the link to Amazon.com. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Now available in paperback and e-readers, Spellbound, A Darker Shade of Black. Get your copy today at your favorite online bookseller.